Hey guys, this is Zach with Team Covenant. I'm joined by Steven, and we are here to unbox the beautiful, amazing, awesome Imperial Aces that just came out.
You gave it all away, all up front.
I like to front load things. It's just all right there. Video's done.
Yeah. Let's start off with these models. They're awesome.
They are really unbelievable.
They're great. I mean, it's good to get some color on the table. It's good to,
especially for the Imperials.
even just to have a different option just for looks, because we know aesthetics matter, especially in a game like X-Wing, where it is kind of the vibe where you just want to see Star Wars on the table. I mean, you do, and this just adds another element of my force looks different than yours to that game. So I think the models turned out really well.
It also makes it easier to discern between ships, especially when you have like two TIE players playing each other. I mean, the Interceptor with a stripe, a lot of people love seeing that. Soontir Fel obviously is noted for having that. And the guard ship is insane. The white lines on the inside is what gets me. It's like, how does it happen?
Well,
paint.
Paint. We don't know.
Process. So anyways, models are great like usual. They can continue to raise the bar on these models. I really can't wait to see the big ships in full production, because I'm sure those are going to be even more.
They're going to be nuts.
Just more crazy. Just like the standard TIE Interceptor, same movement dial, nothing's changed there. Phenomenal movement dial, lots of green, very little red. One of the most maneuverable ships in the game. So,
tons of good maneuvers on this guy.
So yay for more Interceptors. Let's get to the goods.
Pilots. Let's get to the goods. I'm going to start it off here because I happen to love the Saber Squadron pilot, only because Sabers are really cool weapons. He's a 4-pilot skill, and all the stats you've come to know and love: 3 attack, 3 evade, 3 hull, 0 shields, and can take 4 actions: the focus, the barrel roll, the boost, and the evade. And he does have one little upgrade slot for the medallion, which is called various things around here. What's the official name?
I think it's leadership.
Leadership, yeah. I always call it medallion or general.
Or something like that. Leadership or, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a medallion.
But yeah, so original TIE Interceptor is 20 points, right? At a 3-pilot skill.
The standard generic is 20 points at 3-pilot skill. So you're paying 1 point for an extra pilot skill. This is probably only going to actually happen or matter, or you're only going to care about it if you're at 99 points and you have 1 point to spare, and you just need something to upgrade.
Or there could be, this could also be kind of a way to one-up other TIE Interceptor lists that are on the 3-pilot skill guys. I know I see a lot of that in TIE Swarm lists, a lot of those decisions where it's like, well, I'll upgrade one pilot skill
instead of the Academy pilot.
So it follows that formula, and I think if you're an X-Wing player and you are calling the meta in that way, then you're going to make that call and spend a few points on some better pilots.
Absolutely. For 1 point, it's pretty great. Next up, we have the Royal Guard pilot. Exact same stat lines.
Great art on that card. Look at it with the lambda there.
It is great.
Look at it with the lambda.
I can't wait to see lambda with like several guards.
Yeah.
Cruising across the board.
Yeah.
Anyways, same everything. It costs 1 more point, but you get 2 pilot skill this time.
It's a better deal.
So I really think if we're going to see either of these guys, it'll be the Royal Guard pilot first.
Yeah.
Just 1 more point than the 21, and you get a 6, which is significant, especially when you're talking about a lot of the X-Wings that come in at the 4-5 range. That's what you want.
It's really
nice. That's really solid for 22 points, actually.
Yeah, and it's got, and like I said, it's got that good art on it, which is all I need.
That's all you need to play it right there.
Can you hit me with a 5-pilot skill guy? Let's get to the guys that matter here.
Uniques. The first up is Lieutenant Lorrir.
Classic dark side name.
Yes. 5-pilot skill, same stats, same upgrade. Action bar. He can't take any upgrades.
No upgrades.
No upgrade slot.
What is this guy? Trash man?
23 points, so 1 more point than this, but you lose a pilot skill. And why? Why is that? It's because you get this awesome, amazing ability.
All right, let's hear it.
When performing a barrel roll action, you may receive 1 stress token to use the 1 left or right bank template instead of the 1 forward template. So when this guy's barrel rolling, normally you take the 1 forward template and go left or right. And instead, you can take the 1 bank either direction. And what's crazy, I used it this weekend. You can bank it this way, right, or this way.
Yeah, so you can bank backwards, like this,
you can
backwards down.
You can basically backwards rotate, or you can forward rotate around the thing, and like
that's so cool.
Yeah, if you picture a ship on the board and like their firing arc, right?
Yeah,
it's like barrel rolling normally is this, and you've got the firing arc here. That turns your firing arc either direction, so it opens up what this guy can shoot at. Super strong. You have to take a stress to do that, but of course it's the Interceptor. You have all the green turns. I mean, it's really cool.
When you said he didn't get any upgrades, I was making a joke that he built his ship from scrap. And this seems very scrappy, right?
It is scrappy.
Like, this is a weird interceptor. This is not a normal thing. So this has my attention, man. That's just a fun mechanic.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that?
The barrel roll with a different template. I mean, it's the first time we've seen something like that, right? Where they, I don't know, like we haven't seen that. That's really cool to me. I can imagine a pilot in the future that you can boost and use a turn instead of a thing.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or a barrel roll with like 5 straight.
It just gets out of town. So it's really cool. I got to use them. If you use it right, like you can dance around ships, get out of firing arcs. Like a normal barrel roll, you can get out of firing arcs. But this one, you can really do some stuff.
This seems to be the interceptor, the name of the interceptor game. You already have a lot of shenanigans to push the limits and boosts and stuff. And so now...
And they're super maneuverable anyway.
And the dial that they have. I mean, this could just be problematic, how to take out interceptors, unless they're like the Falcon.
And I mean, the cool part about the interceptor, it's so well designed, in my opinion, from like the stat standpoint as well.
Yeah.
They give it a really good dial, but again, it has 0 shields, 3 hull. It's got 3 defense, which is good.
1 good set of rolls and it's out.
Yeah, so you really can't let them concentrate fire on one of your interceptors. And so this is perfect because it lets you kind of get behind an asteroid or get away from a firing arc or get into like a 1 range of something that you shouldn't have had 1 range on. At a 5 pilot skill, it's going to go before a lot of the named pilots, both dark and light side. So it can also get in the way in an odd, like, it's really hard to see until you get used to this guy where he could actually end up in 1 movement and 1 action.
Yeah.
So super interesting
a lot of
ability.
Potential there.
Yeah, I love this guy.
All right, well, let's move on to Kir Kanos. He is a 6 pilot skill, same stat line, also cannot take any upgrades. So we're going to see if he's worthwhile. When attacking at range 2 or 3, also he's 24 points, same as Lieutenant over there. When attacking at range 2 or 3, you may spend 1 evade token to add 1 hit result to your roll. Standard. Not add 1 attack die, add 1 hit, period. All right, a couple of things that come to mind on this. I'll say the initial thing that struck me first, which is if I'm attacking a ship at range 2 or 3 with an interceptor, usually that means I'm kind of early on in the battle from the interceptors that I've run, because once the interceptors get in, you're looking at range 1 and range 2 shots, which is solid. But the range 2 or 3 pushes it to where it's like, well, how often am I going to be like at a pretty long range choosing to take an evade token that, because I'm worried about being under fire, that I can then use if I don't need it to get a hit? It's like, well, that probably won't happen terribly often. But to me, where that really shines is in the 2 range band, right? You have this Kir Kanos kind of hanging around the 2 range band. He takes the evade. You get to see your opponent firing at you first, probably. And it's like, well, do I want to use that evade now or guarantee a hit? So you have a lot of adaptability with this guy.
Sure.
And then you can always, of course, try to get at range 1. And if you fail, or you get out of an arc or something, you take your evade, and now you can shoot a ship 3 spaces away and still have a shot.
Just the ability to spend a token and add a hit.
Period.
You're not adding a die. You're not adding a roll. It's
Yeah.
straight up. It's a hit. Can be huge in taking away stealth devices while you're at long range. Obviously, at range 3, they're going to get the extra defense die.
Massive.
So it's really interesting. And I think really what you hit on a little bit, but the big things here are you can take an evade now, because the TIE fighters are susceptible to being lost from rolling 0 defense.
Yeah.
And if you don't use it, you can still use it, which
Yeah.
is not how it typically works.
Yeah.
And I think what it really does is it puts your opponent in a weird position. They either have to... Normally, if I'm looking across and it's like, oh, do I want to hit the interceptor at range 3 it's got an evade token, or the interceptor at range 3 it doesn't?
Yeah.
Which one do you want to shoot? You don't want to shoot the one with the evade token.
Yeah, you don't, typically.
So if you see this guy, you almost go at him just to get rid of that token, which is really nice, especially if you can get them to concentrate fire on something else early, bring him in from long range, and it's like, you can take a range 3 shot at my dude with an evade token, or not, and I'm going to get a hit, plus I get my standard 3 dice.
Guaranteed hit is massive. He also kind of acts as a sniper. You know, when they have a 1 health ship rolling around, you can leave it alone and just have Kir one shot it from across the board at range 3.
And I'm picturing here, if you use this guy with the Lambda, with like a Darth Vader on it, the Darth Vader pilot, or I guess you could use it on the Bounty Hunter too, but I prefer the Lambda. Because Vader can take 2 damage to do a critical, and it's like you can get a ship out of there.
Just start getting
just
kind of
fast, even from
damage.
range, like from long range. So that's a really powerful ability. I think he's got a solid stat line, and to me, it's just going to come down to being good at that ability. You may end up rolling. dice and you wanted to focus, or to take the evade instead of the barrel roll, the boost, and the focus.
Yeah.
But the double utility is just enormous.
So yeah, he gets high marks for me. I love ships that are adaptable like that. Good on defense because he wants to take the evade token. Good on the offense. Auto hit is nasty for, like you said, stealth devices. That's massive, man.
And I mean, picture this guy with a stealth device.
Mm-hmm. Which he probably should have.
Yeah, it's like 4 dice plus his range 3, so it's going to be 5 dice plus they have an evade token. I want to attack that. Yeah, you're right. No,
can't do it.
All right, next up we have Tetran Cowall, 24 cost, 7 pilot skill, same stat line. He can get a medallion upgrade, and he reads, when you reveal a K-turn maneuver, you may treat the speed of that maneuver as a 1, 3, or 5.
So any K-turn is revealed.
If he reveals a K-turn, he can make it a 1, 3, or 5.
1, 3, or 5. A 1 K-turn? That is sick.
Yes, it is.
That's phenomenal. At a 7 pilot skill, that makes a lot of sense. Now, determination, that's plus 2 pilot skill, if I'm not mistaken, yeah?
Veteran instincts.
Veteran instincts.
Yeah, so you can make him a 9.
You can make him a 9.
More.
That's so interesting to me, because I really like the idea of him being able to adapt that K-turn to whatever it is. So he's going to reveal his dial at the very end of combat and get exactly what he needs every time. Really solid 24-point guy there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is interesting. I think it's a really cool ability, and I used all these ships this weekend, so that's nice.
Tried them out.
And the 1K turn was really strong, especially if I was going after other ships, because you can just, I mean, it's barely moving. Like, you're just like, it's crazy. But I kept finding that, like, as good as it wasn't good enough.
Wasn't good enough.
Yeah, it was like, Soon Tier with Stealth Device Push the Limit is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
the synergies there just...
Yeah, it's like, this is always worth it. It's tough, because, I mean, you're going to take it's a stressful maneuver. So you're going to take your stress. You're not going to get an action. It can be phenomenal. But 24 points is a lot to pay for this can be phenomenal. To me, this is the guy... I'm sure at some point there will be a modification and upgrade that will make him click.
Yeah.
But so far,
like if you do a K-turn, this thing
happens.
happens.
This happens, or get it. If you K-turn, get a target lock, or
don't take a stress.
Or and I mean,
cool.
you could use him with like a lambda and like take the stress for him. That pilot, I forget his name, but this was it's cool.
It does feel like it feels like one of those abilities, and we often have these on cards, whether it be in card games or miniatures. Where you do it and you make a point to get the most out of it throughout the entire game. But then you're like, man, I still lost pretty hard. So it's like, I was making use of this ability all game and it feels awesome and powerful, but was it really doing anything? Sometimes you can be blinded by those
What kind of real advantage did I have? Because, I mean, you're already K-turning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you are good at calling the maneuvers and knowing what your opponent can do, the need to change it is not as much.
Yeah.
And it's not like a Fedigator scenario where like you reveal a bank and you can do a 1, 2, 3 bank left or right.
Yeah.
Like that's just a huge, and you can shoot from backwards. So you can, it's crazy the number of places you can shoot with those options. So I don't know. I'm still putting him in my questionable list. I think he's cool, and I think he will make it into maybe some more casual lists and scenario based. Could be really good, but I'm at this point I'm going to find it tough to spend 24 points on.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But it's at least a notable ability.
It's certainly a less overt ability than something like Kir's, where it's like, automatic damage,
I'll take that every time.
I see the value of that.
Yeah, in a game where you literally win by blowing ships up.
Yeah.
Extra damage is extra damage. Like, the math is just there to support it. Whereas better positioning is great, but they usually don't have a problem with positioning. So,
well in. Moving on to the final, Carnor Jax, the interceptor at 8 pilot skill, 26 points. He does have the medallion upgrade. And of course can take a modification. Enemy ships at range 1 cannot perform focus or evade actions and cannot spend focus or evade tokens. Obviously, that's an ability that you can immediately quantify in some tangible way.
This is
being
crazy.
Good, as being very, very good. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like I'm immediately imagining you drop a push the limit on him, which push the limit comes in the box, so it's a pretty obvious combo. But like, if you can boost and barrel roll at 8 pilot skill, picture like a TIE Swarm, right?
Yeah.
It's like you just run this guy into the TIE Swarm.
You just throw him right in there.
And it's like, you can't spend your focus?
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
It does seem very good. It also feels like the kind of thing where, in order to get the most use out of Carnor, you really are going to have to put him in some situations where he's probably going to take a lot of fire. So he kind of acts as a shield for a turn, where they have to. If they don't,
they have to shoot him, and they can't use their stuff to shoot him.
If they don't clear him, like the first turn that he's screwing around with your formations, it's going to be a long game if you can't use focus or evades.
Yeah, and
so
I will note about him, I play a lot of interceptors. Basically, when the interceptor first came out, it was Vader, Soontir, Tur.
Done.
Let's roll. Like I roll him with that a lot. And one thing that commonly happens with interceptors, and most people don't really account for it, is they're really good once they get behind you, at staying behind you, or staying to the side of you, or whatever. And I'm just picturing one of those scenarios where they have a couple ships, you're able to sneak him in behind, and it's like he's just constantly...
He's just mosquitoing around.
Yeah, even if he just does like a 2 forward, and he can boost and barrel roll, he can kind of get wherever he wants.
It's the pilot skill that makes him.
Yeah, so this guy's really interesting. I think there will be players that hate this guy from it. I can't get him to work ever. He's not good. And then I think there will be players that are really good at maneuvering and playing that game, and they're going to be good with this guy.
Yeah.
Like, really good. Because if you think, like, it even makes taking a focus and an evade an interesting choice.
Yeah.
You're playing a rebel, do I take a target lock or a focus?
And
if you see this guy and he hasn't gone yet, it's very tempting to not take the focus or evade, because what if you take it and then you can't use it?
Yeah.
Like it's just a waste?
Yeah, you don't want that.
So to me, this guy is, and he's the 8 pilot skill most costly guy, so he's going to be, but he's the most interesting. The guy that adds the damage, I think, is the most definite this is going to get used guy. This one piques my interest.
Yes.
He's got some interesting things going on.
I feel like there's also some like design space for a ship that says like get +1 attack die for every focus token on the ship that you're attacking or something. So like there's a lot of cool things that Carnor could be a part of later on down the road for this game. But even right now, like even that's strong.
That's
basic. Really strong.
Oh, my opponent can't evade or focus is
26 points. I think that's perfectly balanced too, and you can swat him out of the sky if you can outposition him, and then just be done with him.
The real question is,
if not,
if you see this guy and you also see Soontir with stealth device and push the limit, I mean,
it's got to be Carnor.
It's so awful. Like that's such an awful decision. Which
and he probably has stealth device, right?
Oh yeah,
he
absolutely
has it. I don't know of an interceptor that doesn't have stealth device these days.
I mean, you may as well just give them 4 defense dice until they get hit and 3 extra points on the cost of the card.
Well, you may as well.
So, speaking of stealth device and cards like stealth device,
let's do the ones that we've already seen. I think we'll just blow through those. This one does come with a push the limit, a hull upgrade, and a shield upgrade. And it's really nice because these are all cards that you want multiple copies of. So it's good to have more of these.
Especially if you're buying 2 extra interceptors.
Yeah. Shields and hull upgrades. Shame there's not a stealth device in here, really. But,
the whole crowd would rejoice.
We do what we do. And, all right, so kick it off. What do you want, Opportunist?
Yes, let's start with Opportunist. We have, and this is a medallion. I'm going to call it a medallion.
We'll call it Leadership? That sounds more official.
Right, leadership. Yeah. 4 cost upgrade, Opportunist. When attacking, if the defender does not have any focus or evade tokens, you may receive 1 stress token to roll 1 additional attack die. You cannot use this ability if you have any stress tokens.
So obviously, Carnor makes this look cool. They can't take evade or focus actions, and they can't spend them, so they probably aren't going to want to take them anyway. And so maybe he's the Opportunist, or maybe an Opportunist flies next to him and makes this a thing. But ultimately, is this ability that big of a deal for 4 points?
I think that Opportunist works best not on interceptors.
Yeah.
This naturally, even if you're not considering the last pilot we talked about, if you're just thinking about the game, core mechanics of how the game works, this is going to work best on a lower pilot skill model, because an extra attack die is big. Like it's a huge deal. You have a 2 or 3 pilot skill tie, or what I'm immediately thinking is Darth Vader on a Lambda, on the cheapest Lambda, 4 pilot skill. He goes last, and I'm just going to shoot whoever doesn't have a focus or evade, so I get the extra die. I'm going to trigger Vader to give them a critical. I know they can't evade a lot of it, so I think this works better on the bigger ships, the bigger, slower ships like the generic Bounty Hunter. I think this could be a great card on, because they have such a wide range of people they could attack with their front and back arcs. So I really think this is a great upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's going to go well with the interceptors.
That's fair.
So
I think that's cool.
Which I think is cool about this game.
I ultimately, I mean, there's some strong upgrades out there, and there's a lot that you want to do on your ships, and it may have been too good. I was a little surprised that you had to take a stress to do this. I can understand how one additional die would be pretty solid if you were constantly hitting things without focus or evade tokens, but an opponent can play around that. They know you have an opportunist on the board. They know when he's going to attack. They don't have to spend those early evade or focus if they don't want to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes they gotta.
It's right on the line for me.
I think it's cool.
Right on the line.
It's not stealth device that's, I'm going to use this a whole lot. But I do think there will be lists that have, your 5 to 10 points. You can't fit another ship in. And this is going to be a great option.
Solid. Let's move on to the targeting computer modification. Your action bar gains the target lock action, and it's a 2-cost modification. Why not? Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I love
We know target locks are good.
Of interceptors being able to target lock. It's like, that's fun. Thank you.
I'm sure there's some truly ludicrous things, just really offensive ships being able to take a target lock and re-roll a bunch of dice. Really nasty, but we don't need to go at length about the targeting computer.
A target lock is a target lock.
Do you want a target lock?
2 points for a target lock on a ship. I think that's potentially really good. Finally, we have what I am most excited about from the entire box.
I think we're all pretty amped about this one.
It is the Royal Guard TIE Interceptor only title. You may equip up to 2 different modification upgrades instead of 1. You cannot equip this card if your pilot skill is 4 or lower. This is phenomenal.
Sabres can't have it, but of course the Royal Guard can, and then all of the named stuff can.
So for free, you can basically take 2 modifications. This is huge. Like,
you can double stealth device, yeah? I can't remember.
2 different modifications.
There's
no rule on it because you have never been allowed to have 2. So it has to be 2 different modifications. 2 stealth device would be crazy.
They'd both go if you get hit, though.
Yeah, you wouldn't get hit. I mean, math.
What about Kir Kanos? He'd hit you every time. Just saying.
Just saying. Or Darth Vader.
But regardless, I mean, even just 2 upgrades, even just a stealth and a shield, right?
That's the big thing for me.
A thing.
I've had so many games where Soontir you roll your 5 dice at range 3 with stealth device and blanks.
Yeah.
You have your focus. You have an evade. They roll their 3, hit, crit. You evade one of them. You take the hit. You take the crit. It's a direct damage. He's gone.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just lose a third of your points to an attack, and you do, and that's the risk of running them.
Yeah.
But a single shield makes them so much more potent. And normally, I mean, 1 crit getting through to interceptor can just ruin your day.
Yeah, that's it.
Just ruin it. So I think this is phenomenal. Obviously, there's only hopefully going to be more modifications coming out in the future. So this is really cool. I'm a huge Imperial Interceptor player. So a title that is Interceptor only.
Just makes your day.
This is it. I couldn't have. First time I saw this card, super excited, and it just changes the game. It really does just change the game.
Gives us interceptors a bit more juice, and really opens up some options with them.
Absolutely.
So that's good, man. So that's Imperial Aces. What do you think? We've been waiting a while for this. Models look good. Pilots, I think, all are very interesting and can fill slots that want to be filled. There's nothing that's terribly redundant to me. There's a lot of new and interesting ways to play these interceptors, and the cards themselves all offer something as well.
Yeah, I think that's what's most important to me in these releases. I don't feel like this game on a super high competitive level has issues or has major imbalances. But I feel like all of these cards bring something to the table that's at least interesting.
Yeah.
They may not all be tier 1 competitive. I'm going to use this in my top list, but they all do interesting, unique things, and that's what's great about the game and all the pilots is they all have their own little flavor. I love the release. I love the interceptors. I was literally about to buy 2 more interceptors before they announced this was coming out, so I was really happy. And I like that they included some of the upgrade cards that people are wanting more of in the box. It's a great release, just fantastic.
And now the real question and speculation of what is on the line now. Like, if we got an interceptor box, is there an X-wing box at some point? Is there a Y-wing box?
There
at some
has
point?
been
is there a TIE fighter, bomber. Like,
I know there are some people that are really wanting Red Squadron for the X-wings and Gold Squadron for the Y-wings, and There's a lot of ways
like
they can
that's
go
a very
with that.
reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, they've already got the ships. You just give it a cool paint scheme, give it new pilots, and you're off to the races. So I think this game has an awesome future. I mean, it feels like I've been playing this game for a very long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I step back and look at it, it's like this game really has like 3 sets.
Yeah.
That's a small game.
Yeah.
And I think it's Wave 4 was announced. Obviously, the ships look phenomenal. I'm just really excited. This is one of my favorite games ever, and it just keeps getting better.
It's one of those feelings that I get sometimes where a game could literally stop right now and they could just put out new cards, new upgrades, new paint schemes, and we could keep playing for 20 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
everything on this is just it's just icing on the cake at this point.
I don't think. I mean, new models are great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'll take all of them.
Let's not stop making new models.
No, don't do that. But like, it's really true. Like, if all it's such an interesting game. I haven't really seen a miniatures game do this, where normally a miniature has a stats, right, and it does what it does, and you can maybe upgrade or combine it with stuff. But it's really a miniatures and a card game going on. So like, there's so much design space in the cards.
Deck building, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, this is the same stats, the same dial, same core stats, and they're just changing little things, and it completely makes it a new ship. So it's really exciting. I mean, Imperial's obviously got the first kind of minor upgrade, not a full release box like this, and the Rebels are getting the X-wing and the Corvette big box release. So it's really exciting. I mean, I'm just amped. I love these models, and really happy to finally have them in.
Great. Well, thanks for watching, guys. This has been the Imperial Aces box set for Star Wars X-Wing. You can grab this from us if you are so inclined. That is teamcommander.com/store is where our web store resides. And it's there waiting for you. There's a lot of great Imperial Aces to be picked up. And thank you guys for watching and all the support you give us. We truly do appreciate it. And we'll catch you later. We're going to go play some X-Wing.
See you guys.